I may have missed this, so forgive me. I don't need like real techie stuff, but this thing is like a hard drive you set up peer-to-peer, that kind of thing? That's my first question. So like, how does this get shared? Is there a method other than through like panels of people that users can contribute to the knowledge base? And then lastly, you may have touched on this, but is there a way to track what is the most commonly used information? That's okay. How does it work?
It's a hard drive that gets attached to, this one is just attached to a USB drive or a USB port on this computer. But it's set up in such a way that other computers in the room on the very same physical network can share it. Okay, and it looks just like the internet to them. That network, that local area network, can be inside a building, it could be around a whole campus, it could actually be a small town. Okay. Like I said, thousands of people can share this at the same time, so it's not an issue. We actually have some people out in the field who are building what we call knowledge spheres. They are literally putting wireless access points around their buildings and sharing it out to the neighborhood as a free public library. So anybody with a smartphone or a laptop can hook up. At the University of Jos, they had to rearrange, in Nigeria, they had to rearrange their parking lot because people now come driving in and pull out their laptops and browse from the dashboard and then drive away again.
That's great.
Okay, so second question.
It was about contributions from users.
So if somebody wants to contribute something to the e-granary that they want to have spread out around the world, they would work with us. And it's all a web-based interface. We can set anybody up with an ID and a password. They can log in and start adding material or build their own portal. And that's what we'll be doing as we build the GDRL. We'll have people logging in and helping to get permission and catalog materials. There is this community information platform, this bit that Intel sponsored. That is the ability for someone to log in locally, just on their own e-granary, and upload anything they want and share it with others in their community. Third question.
My third with the fourth added is, can you track what it most commonly is, and how much do you need to have to do this as an end user? How much does it cost to participate and have one of these?
Okay, so it's a web server, so it has a log. It keeps track of every request for every document, and we can take that, run it through. There's a whole bunch of software that parses that, shows us who's looking at what, and what kind of queries people are writing, that type of thing. And what does it cost? The e-granary is $1,500, and that's with all that software built in. A good dose of technical support.
So my question is about whether this will make internet access slower to be brought into places, or whether it would help facilitate. Because one of the great things about the internet is that you also get the communication ability to join other groups of people in other parts of the world that are maybe have your disability or things like that. So I'm wondering if this is a hamper or a hindrance or a jumpstart.
It's an additive technology. It's all sort of part of a hybrid solution, right? Telling somebody out in the world that, well, the only way you can have access to this information is to get on the internet is to hobble them, right? So a lot of people, they say, well, this is it. I can serve 98% of my, patrons right here out of this box. What's the least amount of money I have to spend to take care of the other 2%? And so more than half of the organizations that have the e-granary have no internet whatsoever. But the other half are finding out creative ways of, when somebody needs the most current information, they've got the internet for that. One of the things that we didn't talk about is that we're building into the GDRL a asynchronous threaded discussion capacity. So we'll be able to have WordPress blogs here and threaded discussion here, and it could be mounted on multiple servers, and then that gets updated through a monthly, download or a USB key, fix, that type of thing. So we'll be able to set up discussions between communities. There'll just be a little bit of a time lag as the discussions get transmitted from one place to another.
Sorry, this is more of a technical question, but I wonder why the e-granary doesn't suffer from the same problems as the internet does, and just as you add more users, it becomes slower, and as you add more data, become more cumbersome to manage.
The last part about it being cumbersome, it just is, you know, once you have that much information. And so we're constantly working on interfaces to make it easier for people to find stuff. Why doesn't it get slower? Well, it does, actually. It's about, but the e-granary, we timed this at some schools in Uganda. The e-granary is about 5,000 times faster than their internet connection. So as more people start to use it, when we get up to about 1,200, 2,000 people using it, it does slow down. It's now 2,500 times faster, right? And if we were really serving a huge, like a whole town, we'd probably just get a much more muscular server, and we'd be able to serve more people. When people buy bandwidth in Africa, they're paying $250,000 a year for 2 megabits of connectivity. That doesn't scale. When things start going slow, they can't go out and double or triple their bandwidth. Right? So there's really no mobile options that are within their power to enact. But with the e-granary, if it starts going slow, they just put it on a faster computer.
Wondering about, this doesn't require internet, but it requires computers, and it requires computers that are upgraded and maintained. So I'm wondering about that, and if you're playing a role in that. And then also the assistive technology or the software to make it accessible, like screen readers or mobility devices.
First question was?
Computers.
Computers, yeah. Well, yeah, if there's no electricity, it gets a lot harder. Although we have developed a 12-volt version, which will run off a solar panel and broadcast. And we're working with some people on those situations. But I guess this sort of leads back to some questions that were raised earlier about people who can afford devices and people who can't, or whatever. We have to. My working in Africa is all about making better and better distinctions. Right? And there are communities. When I talk about 2% of internet connectivity in sub-Saharan Africa, it's basically 2% of the population makes about $30,000 a year, and they choose to afford the internet. So there's 2% of the population for which this may not be the answer, or who can afford their own assistive devices, or can afford good therapies and the like. And so we have to sort of segment. So there are definitely groups who have computers. There are people who have electricity. In my work in Nigeria, there are schools that almost guaranteed have 6 hours of electricity a day. And so we make good use of that 6 hours of electricity. There are different kinds of philosophies about refurbished computers and new computers and 12-volt computers and the 1 laptop per child. And so, again, people come up with sort of hybrid tiered responses to how do you do that. At the WiderNet project, we focus on low-cost computer technologies and deployment. We've had over 4,000 people in sub-Saharan Africa go through our training programs in the last 10 years. The most expensive part of any computer deployment is not the computers. That's about 25%. The most expensive part is training and staffing, and that's what we help to address. And then our students have refurbished and shipped over 1,200 computers, and we work with another partner, World Computer Exchange, that has shipped over 25,000 refurbished computers. So, we just sort of mix and match and try to pull the best resources together to deliver. But, we're always constrained by what's available. Electricity tends to be the biggest hurdle to overcome.
Just a quick question. Have you had any problems with the hard drive in terms of its durability?
We get about 5 to 6% of them that fail when we burn them. And that's because we're burning 2 terabytes at one time, something no hard drive is actually designed to do. But we've had about a 1% failure rate out in the field. The biggest problem we have with hard drives in the field are people with virus-infected systems that, the virus that infects the hard drive and we have to reburn it.